Hey guys, in today's video, I want to introduce you to some software that has really changed the way that I edit my portraits. And that software is called Reblum AI, which is a professional skin retouching tool that I've been using for the last couple of months. Now, despite being a portrait photographer, one of my absolute least favorite but undeniably important parts of editing my photos is retouching. I love editing and the creative side of photography, but I've always found retouching to be pretty tedious and time consuming until I started using Reblum, which just saves me so much time and it gives me fantastic results too. So let's dive right into the Reblum software and let me show you how it works and just how simple this software is. So first of all, let me show you my old process before Reblum. And the first thing that I would do when it comes to retouching is I would start with the spot healing brush tool. I'd use this to get rid of any really obvious blemishes in the skin. And that usually takes me a few minutes on its own. And it can be even longer than that, to be honest, especially if it's a studio portrait, you know, under studio lighting and a lot of skin detail has been captured. And once I've finished with the spot healing brush tool, well, then the next thing that I will do is I'll do some manual frequency separation. And this really helps fix uneven skin tones or any blotchiness in the skin, whilst at the same time retaining all of the detail in the skin, which I don't want to get rid of. This can easily take like another 5 to 10 minutes. It really depends on the skin. And again, if you shot in the studio, you're probably gonna have a lot more work to do. So all in all, per image, especially for a shot like this, like a detailed portrait, I could spend 10 to 15 minutes just on the retouching, and there's still everything else that I like to do on my portraits left to do. Now we're gonna delete everything that we've done and we'll run it through Reblum, and you're gonna see just how much quicker this software can do the retouching process for me. So I'm gonna make a new layer and then we go up to filter, down to Reblum and click on Reblum Retouch, and it will open the program immediately and immediately start retouching the image, which only takes a couple of seconds or so. And then we have our final result. Now the retouching is done. Let's zoom in and have a look at the job that it's done, and just look how quick and easy that was and how good the results are. Now Reblum offers two types of retouching. We've got natural that we're in now, which offers more subtle skin smoothing to retain natural texture like pores and fine lines, whilst at the same time correcting blemishes and uneven skin tones in a really authentic way. And this just makes it great for wedding photographers, professional headshots or family photos, or anyone that wants a more authentic, natural look. And if we click it on and off, you can see just how natural of a retouch that it has done. And this is actually the go-to for me right now for a lot of my work. I really love the look of this. And the second mode that Reblum offers is called Fashion. And this is if you want to dial up the skin correction a little bit. So we're in natural right now, and I will click on over to Fashion now so you can see the difference. So we're in natural and now we are in Fashion. So you can see the difference that it makes. And this fashion setting focuses more on like a flawless finish, and it really corrects the skin tones and evens them out nicely. It reduces wrinkles and other imperfections to give a really polished look to your image, as you can see. But what I love about Reblum, if we zoom in, is even though we're getting that really polished look, it still retains all of the skin detail. So you get a really professional end result. You don't just get like overly smoothed skin. It still looks very natural. This is before any retouching in Reblum, and this is after in the fashion mode. So you can see what an excellent job that it's doing. Fashion is ideal for editorial high-end fashion work, in my opinion, or anywhere where you want a really polished, dramatic appearance to your portraits. Now, the other great thing about Reblum is in this fine-tune section, we have these two sliders that really allow us to fine tune the amount of retouching that it's doing. And these are really useful because I'll often say use the fashion setting, and then I'll come to the general slider and just dial it down a little bit. And this gives me a look somewhere in between the natural and fashion settings on full. So you actually get a lot of control to really dial in a look that suits you. As you can see, if I pull the general slider all the way down, then no retouching is being done. And as you bring it up, it just gradually applies the retouching. So you can really fine tune the amount of retouching that it's doing. And then we've got a texture slider, and this allows you to fine tune the level of texture that's being retained in your retouched image. And this is great if there's something specific on the face that's being corrected and you want to bring it back. This is a good example actually. If we zoom in under the left eye here and then bring down the texture slider, you can actually see how it brings back a blemish or mark on the skin that has been corrected when it's on full. So you can kind of dial this down and bring some of that texture back. So dragging down this slider retains more of the natural texture of the skin, emphasizing details like pores and skin patterns. And this can really help an overly polished or plastic look, especially if somebody already has great skin like here. So I'm gonna go ahead with the fashion setting, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dial the general slider down to about 75%. I'll do the same with the texture slider too. We'll hit OK and we'll head back into Photoshop and take a little bit of a closer look at the quality of the retouching that Reblum's doing. And if we zoom in on the face and the skin, you can see that it's done a great job of evening out skin tones, but at the same time, we've still got plenty of skin texture, which is an absolute must for me in order to get an authentic look. If we zoom in even further, again, I'll click it on and off, and you can see just how much work that Reblum is doing. But I really am happy with the result of this. It just looks so natural. It's done a better job than I could do manually, even after 15 or 20 minutes of work. And you'll also notice it's actually retaining some of the freckles on the chin of the model, which I like. It doesn't just get rid of everything. That's what I like about Reblum. It retouches in a really intelligent way. I don't like overly smooth, artificial looking skin, and Reblum totally avoids that whilst giving an amazing polished final result quickly. In the past, I've tried other AI retouching software and I haven't been blown away by the results like I have been with Reblum, because you'll often get like these little blurry soft spots in the skin where all of the texture is missing and it just looks amateur. But none of this is an issue in Reblum. If we zoom in, there's no strange patches that give away that this has been retouched. And if we come down to the arm, you'll see as well that it actually also retouches body skin, and it does this in a really natural way. Whatever you're doing on the face, Reblum will slightly dial it down for the body skin. And I think that's a really clever way of doing it, and it gives great results to the body skin as well. The way I've been using Reblum lately is with a custom action in Photoshop, where basically with the press of a single button, my image will be retouched to my personal preference settings. So I have one here, and I'll just delete this layer. So we're back to the untouched image, make a new layer, and then I just press play on Reblum Retouch, and it will just load up Reblum and apply my preferred settings. So it's that fashion setting, dialed that back a bit. And in just a few seconds, I'll have my fully retouched image without even having to go into the software. So there it is, everything's pre-tweaked to my liking, and this just really speeds up my retouching process in Photoshop. And that means I can spend a lot more time on everything else that I actually enjoy doing and less time in the healing brush tool and doing frequency separation, doing jobs that I just don't really enjoy doing. I've just come over to this other image because I want to quickly show you just how great Reblum handles freckles too, because in other AI retouching software, I often find that they really struggle with skin that has a lot of freckles. But as you can see here right now, we're in the natural mode and the retouching is turned off. If I pull up the general slider, you can see in the forehead, if we toggle it on and off, all of those freckles are retained. Reblum does the best job that I've seen so far in terms of AI retouching, retaining freckles in the skin. And to be honest, even when I retouch manually, I find it really difficult to do a good job of smoothing the skin and evening out the skin tone while still keeping someone's freckles. So this makes my life so much easier too. So obviously, as I've demonstrated, you can use Reblum in Photoshop, but it also fully functions in Lightroom or Capture One. One of the great things that it can do in Lightroom for me is batch process images. So this is great for test shoots or wedding portraits, or any time that you've got a lot of images that you want to apply retouching to. Reblum can handle it. So you just select the images that you want to batch process and you right click and then you click edit in Reblum. and all of the shots will be opened in the software, and you can tweak the settings to your liking. Then by just pressing OK, Reblum will get to work on retouching all of these images, and you can just sit back and watch it work. So once the shots are in Reblum, you can just press OK and it will start retouching all of the images. And this is just such a time saver when it comes to retouching multiple images, where usually I'm gonna need to spend 5 to 10 minutes per image. Now it's all handled in just a few minutes by Reblum. And for me, I do a lot of videos where I compare a lot of lenses and things like that, and I often come out with hundreds of images, and this just lets me do all the retouching right in Lightroom and batch process all the images that I want to put in the video, and that's just completely changed the way that I edit. So let's take a quick look at what it's done. This is the unretouched image before it went through Reblum, and here is the retouched version in the natural setting, and you can see just what a great job it's done at evening out the skin tones. Another thing that I really value about Reblum is the fact that it operates totally as a local application. So all of the image processing and retouching computations occur within your computer or device. So there's no need at all for an internet connection, which is not only convenient, but it also means that your images never actually leave your computer. Because I've tried other retouching AI solutions in the past, and they need things like credits per image to retouch them. And that essentially means you have to pay per photo to do your retouching, and there's none of that here with Reblum, which I really appreciate their way of doing things. And that also means there's no latency when retouching, because the performance of the retouching process is all down to your system's hardware and not an external server or your internet connection. And that also means that your images aren't shared with Reblum, and they're not stored by Reblum in any way, so they're not going to be used for AI training or anything like that, which in this day and age I really value, and it's something that you've got to keep an eye out for. Reblum also offer flexible pricing, and I really value the fact that you can just outright purchase a lifetime license of the software and own it forever on your computer with no need to be locked into perpetual payments like you are with some other alternatives. Now, Reblum do offer a monthly subscription though, because I know that some people do prefer that, and you can do that with Reblum too. Before we finish up, I'm going to show you one more example on another shot with someone with slightly more complicated skin. I'll show you my entire process starting in Lightroom and going over to Photoshop. So we're in Lightroom right now, and here is our image, and I've already done all of my edits to this shot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to click edit in Adobe Photoshop, and I'll click yes to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. And this is just going to move my image over from Lightroom into Photoshop. Now we are in Photoshop. I'm going to duplicate the layer, come over to filter, go down to Reblum and click on Reblum Retouch and let Reblum do its job. Okay, and there we go. It's done the retouching in natural, and just look at the job that it's done. This is with the retouching off. And you can see this is quite complicated skin to fix. And this is just in the natural mode, and look how professional that looks in just a few seconds. I'd be happy with this, to be honest. I'm going to take a look at what fashion does, but for me, I think that natural works perfect. I'd be completely happy to just leave that as it is. So now clicking over to fashion, what I'll do is I'll put on screen the unretouched image as well with natural and fashion, so you can see kind of the difference between. But this looks really great as well, actually. I would be happy with either of these settings, but I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that this is the first AI retouching software that, without a doubt for me, it does a better job than I can do manually. And I've just been really happy with the results that I've been getting. And again, I'll show it on screen so you can see for yourself. So that is Reblum, and I've been really happy, if you can't tell, with this software so far. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Reblum, there is a link in the description. And right now they are also offering an unlimited 7-day trial. So you can check out all of the functionality of the software and see if it fits into your workflow. But if you've got any questions about Reblum, leave them down below, or just let me know what you think about the software. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Reblum for sponsoring this video. I will see you guys all in the next one.